Hello, and welcome to the Twin Sister Docs podcast. Thank you for all of our previous viewers and listeners, and thank you for any new viewers or listeners. I am Dr. Delana Wardlaw, a board-certified family medicine physician.
And I am Dr. McDonald, a board-certified general pediatrician.
Today, we're going to talk about sleep. Yes, it doesn't just happen on its own. You got to make sure that you are putting in an effort to get an adequate amount of sleep.
When we discuss the three main ways to be healthy: nutrition, physical activity, and sleep. So sleep is very important when you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle. Dr. Wardlaw, you said sleep, you have to make sure that you're putting it into your schedule. You have to plan it.
Mm-hmm.
Why is sleep so important? How much sleep do we need?
So one, for the average adult, you need approximately 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, I'm going to just remind folks, because many people probably say, oh, we already know that, but how many of you are actually getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night?
We're not. So let us be honest. We're not getting 7 to 10 hours. So that's something that we need to work on.
Full transparency, but we're working on it. We are definitely working on that. And so sleep can have a direct impact on your health. It can affect your blood pressure. It can increase your risk for heart disease, because that has a direct impact with blood pressure. It can decrease your productivity. It can decrease your concentration. It can also cause you to have increased risk of obesity. And it can also have a major impact on your mental well-being. It can cause increased irritability. It can be associated with many mental health diagnoses, depression, anxiety. And there are also studies that show that, it can increase your risk for dementia. So sleep is important.
Yes, it is important and it is necessary. And for children,
Yes.
well, newborns, they sleep 16 to 18 hours a day. They eat, they sleep, they go to the bathroom. Toddlers, they're going to need about 11 to 14 hours. And then once you start to get to the preschool and the early grade schools, they're going to need about 10 hours of sleep, 10 to 12 hours of sleep. And then your teenagers, they need at least 10 hours of sleep a night. So sleep is very important. As Dr. Wardlaw said, it impacts many things. But for our children, we need them to get a good night's sleep so that they can be ready for school the next day. They are able to concentrate, they're able to focus, they're able to learn new concepts, they're able to socialize with their friends without being cranky or grumpy. So sleep is very, very necessary.
That's for adults too.
Yes.
I know when I don't get enough sleep, my irritability level is definitely a little higher than what it should be. And, so for, same thing that exhibits in kids, we can see that in adults as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, to go back to, it can affect our immune system, our ability to be able to ward off, viruses and infections. So key. Now, how do we make sure we are getting this sleep? Again, you have to, one, make sure that you are having an environment that's conducive to sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully most people are sleeping in a bed in their bedroom, but you want to make sure that it is a dark place. You want to make sure that the temperatures aren't too exaggerated. Now that may vary depending upon which stage you are in your life. You want to make sure that you don't have a lot of distractions. I will also say that you should use your bedroom for 2 S's: sleep and sex.
Right.
You really shouldn't be using your bedroom for
the office, watching TV. Definitely shouldn't be the dining room.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you're not doing all of those things in the bedroom. As my husband frequently used to remind me, don't bring your office here. This is not your office. And he absolutely correct.
Yes.
You should not be doing those things, because your bedroom, you start to you get signals. It's a routine. It is a habit.
Yes.
And you have to create an environment that is conducive to falling asleep.
Yes. And so that environment also includes, sometimes if you have to put up some dark shades to block out the street lights, or sometimes if you have to wear, what are those things called, Dr. McDonald?
Yeah.
Eye covers that you put on,
Remember Whitley Gilbert, Different World? She used to sleep She used to sleep up there like a perfect little princess. Yes, the little eye covers. The name is escaping me right now also. But sometimes you have to wear those to create that dark environment.
Yes.
You also want to make sure that you turn the TV off.
Yes.
You want to make sure you get rid of we have notifications. Get rid of the screens altogether if you can in the bedroom. Whether that's your laptop, your iPad, your cell phone. And we do have to have our cell phone because in this day and age, that's how we communicate. Yes, and that's really what most people have. The landlines are typically getting away from many people, particularly the younger generation.
Date yourself, Dr. Wardlaw. Talk about the landline.
But you want to make sure that the notifications are turned off. I mean, we have notifications for everything. We have notifications for the weather. We have notifications for social media. We have notifications for the football game scores. We have notifications for, what the accident just happened on 76. Well, yeah, we need to know that if we're getting up in the morning and 76 is being blocked off, but we don't have to have every notification on throughout the nighttime that's binging and tingling and keeping you up all night. Yeah. The other thing is making sure you try to clear your mind. You want to, even if you have to do a mental to-do list in your head or write it down or say like, listen, this is what I have to do in the morning or over the next couple of days. So it's not weighing on your mind. You want to clear that mental clutter as well. And so you can do that as well. Right. You also want to make sure that you are, first of all, you got to schedule the bedtime. I'm not very good at that, but you really have to make sure that at a certain time, it's time for you to go to bed. One thing that Dr. McDonald and I learned in medical school, which I'm going to try to get back to that, is in medical school, when we first got there, we used to study by the page. Well, we're going to read 200 pages tonight.
And you never got to the 200 pages.
Because even if you did get to the 200 pages, after a certain time, you couldn't retain what you read.
It wasn't making sense.
We learned quickly that you couldn't read by the page. You had to read by the clock. And the same thing now. You had to do your work by the clock. Even now, set a bedtime and be done with it. Whatever else has to be done, it has to happen the next day. You have to respect the clock and you have to respect your sleep because guess what? You're not getting that time back. You're not getting it back. So do not sacrifice it again.
And the old saying that people say, I'll sleep when I die. No. Nope. You need to go to sleep. You need to go to sleep and get a good night's sleep. Every night should be the goal, okay? When we talk about adequate sleep, as Dr. Wardlaw said, you don't fall asleep by accident. You have to plan it. And as a pediatrician, I talked to my parents about this from day one with their newborn. When we talk about sleep, you want to make sure your newborn is in a safe place. The crib, the bassinet, make sure it has a firm mattress. It does not have a bunch of blankets and stuffed animals and pillows in there because those are suffocation risks. And the baby should be on their back. That is the safest place for the baby to be. Sleeping alone or on their back without all of those extra things in the crib or the bassinet.
What's that saying, Dr. McDonald, that I always say? The back is best, or what is that saying that has been used in the past?
Well, we always say back to sleep.
Okay.
Back to sleep.
Okay.
Because we do know that just changing the position of our newborns, our babies, decreases the risk of SIDS or sudden infant death significantly. So day one, we're starting to talk to our parents about proper sleep. Now, also, my parents come in and I always ask, where's the baby sleeping? Well, the baby's sleeping with me. She doesn't like the bassinet. He doesn't like the crib. The baby's 2 weeks old. Now, you're letting the baby train you. I have a saying, either you train them or they're going to train you. And if they train you, it's not going to work out in your favor. So you want to start to put the baby in the bassinet. Sometimes we as adults have to get out of our own way, right? It is unsafe for your baby to be in the bed with you. You are more tired than you recognize. A newborn, the sleep cycle is off. They don't have a regular sleep cycle. So, your sleep cycle is off. So you're chronically tired. Your baby needs to be in the safest place. So start to put them in that crib and bassinet immediately. Again, train them or they're going to train you. And as they get older, again, when we have our toddlers and
our older children, they don't fall asleep by mistake. They're not running around, then they fall asleep on the carpet or they fall asleep on the couch. No, 7, 8 o'clock, it is bedtime. There has to be a schedule. So what that means is that we as adults, we have to stop what we're doing to create a routine, bath time, read a book. Then we're going to get in the bed and removing all of the distractions. Bedtime is bedtime. We're not going to have laptops. We're not going to have TVs. We're not going to have, for the older children, video games, and they're still talking with their friends on the computer and their phones at nighttime. All of that stuff has to go off to create an environment for your children to sleep in. And so I remember where Temple had a program where they would send all the newborns home with a box.
It was in a box.
Yes. And so that, because, we do know that unfortunately, not everybody may not have access to a crib or a bassinet, but really wanted to implant into everybody's mind that it is best for the baby to have their own sleep space.
Yes.
And so that was a very insightful program and a very effective program to help people to be able to do that. And the co-sleeping, I can't say it more. Dr. McDonald and I are both parents. Fun fact, I have a set of twins myself. And so I did not know my head from a hole in the wall, as the old saying would go. When those babies came, you didn't know if you were coming or going. I didn't know if I was coming or going. And I was so sleep deprived that it was just unthinkable.
Right.
And so I just really had to make sure, again, got to make sure the baby gets into their own space. Everybody needs to be aware of this, because I remember having mom brain and I just couldn't, Dr. McDonald will tell you, it was some days that I just couldn't think straight about.
Right.
Because you're that sleep deprived. That's why your baby has to be in the safest place possible. And then again, as in general, we talk about children, teenagers in general, people always ask about, not some parents will ask about the need for sleep agents. The average healthy child and teenager does not need a sleep agent to sleep. What they need is proper sleep hygiene that we have discussed. Oftentimes when we come and we ask the teenager about their sleep, what time they're going to bed, not only what time you're going to bed, but are you turning off all the electronics, all the distractions? 95% of the time, the answer is no. And if they are doing it, it's because the parents are enforcing it. The parents are turning off the Wi-Fi, or the parents are making them bring the phones into their bedroom when it's bedtime to ensure that the distractions are removed. So again, the average child doesn't need a sleep agent. Now, there are some children who have underlying issues or conditions going on. So if the child is all of a sudden having sleep problems, then we need to pay attention to that, right? Are they being bullied at school? Has it been a big life change at home? Have the parents gotten divorced? We were dealing with a huge pandemic at one point where there was so much uncertainty. Are we dealing with depression? Are we dealing with anxiety? So if a child is having problems with sleeping, we need to try to figure out why and deal with those issues versus trying to give them a sleep agent. Or it could be something acute. Are they worried about a project that's coming up? Are they worried about a big school event that's coming up? Are they worried about a dance and they want to look their best? Or they're worried about the prom? And, so it could be things, and those are short. Those are short-lived, right? So we're all, we all have certain things going on in our life where we may have a restless night. We may be excited. We may be nervous. We may be stressed, but it shouldn't be ongoing. Right. And so if it's ongoing, then that should be brought to the attention of your physician so that it can be addressed.
Yes.
Other things that we could do to help with a good night's sleep. One, avoid the naps during the day.
Yes.
Absolutely should not be napping during the daytime, because again, that's going to affect your ability to be able to sleep effectively at nighttime. Two, avoid the caffeine as you get, sugary drinks. The caffeine, the sugary drinks later on in the daytime. Also making sure that you get exercise.
Yes.
Exercise helps to promote healthy sleeping, so you need to do that as well. You have to make sure that you are putting in that extra effort to do things during the day so that it can help your ability to be able to a good night's sleep
at nighttime. When we say a good night's sleep, we mean continuous sleep, not frequent getting up throughout the nighttime, or you fall asleep and then you wake up in the middle of the night or the wee hours of the morning and then you can't go back to sleep. So that decreases the amount of effective sleep that you have.
When your child wakes up in the middle of the night, I've had parents say, baby keeps waking up in the middle of the night. My first question is what are you doing when the baby wakes up? I'm feeding them. Once your child, 9, 10, 11 months, 12 months, they should be able to sleep through the night, the majority of the night. However, if you keep feeding them every time they wake up, to them, that's a routine. That's mealtime for them. They don't know any better. Again, you are training them. So when they wake up, if they're in their crib, you may hear them fussing a little bit. Don't turn on the light. Don't go talk to them. Certainly don't feed them. Don't give them anything to drink, because you don't want to reinforce them waking up. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, there's no one talking to you. It's completely dark. There's no one feeding you. There's no one playing with you. You start to realize this is not the time to wake up. I should go back to sleep. However, every time you wake up, it's a party. You're going to wake up because that's what you think you're supposed to do. So parents, please, you have to set the routine for your children. They don't know any better.
Please set the routine. Also, other things that can really encourage a good night's sleep. You know, many times people want to take a nightcap. You know, they want to drink a glass of wine before they settle in for the night. Please don't do that. That is going to affect your ability to be able to get a good night's sleep.
Yes.
You also could do something, you know, you can meditate, you know, you could take a warm bath. You know, those are also things that can, you know, and increase your ability to be able to get a good night's sleep as well. But skip the nightcap. You don't need it. That's going to affect your.
You don't need the wine. You don't need the wine. You don't need that to wind down. But again, the point that Dr. Wardlaw and I are trying to drive home is that sleep is so important to maintaining a healthy lifestyle. But you have to be strategic. It's not just going to happen on its own. We're all in a rat race. We all have a million things to do, but we cannot sacrifice our sleep to do other things because it's going to have a negative impact on our bodies. And we are our children's role models. So we want our children to go to bed at 8 o'clock. We have to stop to get them on a schedule at 8 o'clock. So whether or not you have to stop for 30 minutes or so, that is important. But again, you have to plan it. You have to have a strategy. You just don't fall asleep by accident.
And if you, again, we talked about if you're waking up, you know, in the middle of the night, you know, if you can't fall back to sleep, you
don't turn on the phone.
Yes.
Don't turn on the TV, because then that's just going to, again, get your brain going again.
Yep.
You want to try your best. Count backward from 100.
Yes.
You know, hum a favorite tune or something, but
do some meditation. Do not turn on any screens.
Yes. Do not turn on the screens.
You're going to go down a rabbit hole. Do not turn on the screens. That is not going to help you to fall asleep. Putting on the, you know, a game no, not helpful at all.
Try your best to go back to sleep, just like we expect our children.
Yep.
We're telling you, do not entertain your children. Don't entertain yourself. Go back to sleep.
Yes. And now the other thing is that we need to talk about is if you have done all these things, you've done all the sleep hygiene that we've talked about, you have a healthy exercise routine during the daytime, you're avoiding naps, you're avoiding the caffeine and the alcohol,
the sugary
drinks. If you are having an environment that's conducive to sleeping and you're still having issues, then you need to talk to your doctor.
Yes.
Because it can be a medical problem.
Yes.
You know, it could be that you are having, you know, you could have insomnia, but you really have an issue with sleeping. You could have sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
You could have acid reflux that's caused you to have increased acid production at nighttime that's caused you to cough throughout the nighttime, or postnasal drip that's caused you to cough throughout the nighttime and affecting your ability for you to be able to have a good night's sleep.
Or you can have a lung condition.
Yep.
Asthma, poorly controlled asthma can sometimes present as a nighttime cough.
Yes.
When you're up coughing throughout the nighttime, so you're not getting a good night's sleep.
It could be congestive heart failure. You know, so again, don't ignore these things. Definitely have a conversation with your physician because it could be an underlying medical condition that has to be treated, which is preventing you from being able to get a good night's sleep.
Well, Dr. Wardlaw, I think we have really stressed the importance of sleep. So with that being said, please stay tuned for our next podcast.
Thank you.